the system. 4 years ago, I had a vision. A vision that transcended every single thing that I ever thought about. A vision that captivated me from the moment I was a child. A vision that I loved and that I was indebted to. A vision by the name of professional wrestling. And here I am today, 4 years later, doing what I do best, with a microphone next to me and a camera projecting my face upon your screen. Why? Because this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is undisputed. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome, welcome, welcome to Season 8, Episode 1. The season premiere of the phenomenon known to mankind as Saturday Afternoon's main event. After 8 seasons, if you do not know who I am, whether you are dumb, stupid, blind, or just plain irrelevant, I suggest you go back to school, go into your local library, get the biggest dictionary you can find, preferably Merriam-Webster, and look me up under the word phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the phenomenal one, and here on Saturday Afternoon's main event, I am not alone because, of course, I'm joined by my co-host, my comrade, my brother from another mother and dimension, the one, the only, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun who is not having a hard time holding his alligators down. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, give me 2 claps and a peep's nation.
Woo!
There we
yes,
go.
We're back. We are back. We are back. We are back. 8 seasons. It's been a while. A lot of things have happened over the last couple of weeks in the world of wrestling, and we're going to probably get to as much of that as humanly possible. But thank you, my partner, says it all. As we always do every Saturday, we can't do it without starting with those 3 tenets of a great Saturday. My partner, tell them again. You know what it is.
Laughs, good times, and all the
wrestling news possible. There you go.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, Peeps is not my only co-host for today, because guess what? We might not have Slim Shady, but he is back again. 411's back. Tell a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of Morton's Law, Mr. Christopher Morton, Mr. 411.
It feels so good to be back. We gotta play up with Slim Shady right there. What's up? What's up?
Yes.
What's going on, man? What's going on?
Hey, Nate, I know he always gives you 2 claps, but is that because you have the clap because of the hooker you were with last night? Or?
Good grief.
Woo! It was an all-night ride. Woo!
Look at that. Oh, man. You gotta love it. This is what Saturday Afternoon's main event consists of, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
But I'm glad to have you guys here, but not only you guys, I am glad to have the viewers, whether you are watching on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, or should I say X for those Twitter users, whatever you might go ahead and be watching on, we appreciate you listening or watching to us right now. Of course, you guys know if you want to keep up with all the latest social media news and updates, all you got to do is follow us on Instagram at Saturday Afternoons_main event or on Twitter or X at Saturday Main. And if you probably wouldn't catch this full episode today, don't worry. The replay will be on YouTube today, and then later in this day or within the week, probably starting Monday, it will be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you want to listen to the audio version on the go. But look, without further ado, let's go ahead and really get started with today's show. And of course, you know that when we get started and you hear this theme, if you're not familiar with S.A.M.E, it means it's time for one thing and one thing only. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is time for
Wrestling Crash Course.
Hopefully Peeps doesn't start shaking. Okay, he is.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It always causes a ruckus in his crowd, but how does it happen only in his home when we know he lives in Queens? You know what? I digress. First one of the day. I'm not doing this. First one of the day. Mark it down for me, Peeps.
There you go.
Well, look. First piece of news today for us in Crash Course will be as follows. Britt Baker has been suspended following a heated debacle with MJF and his girlfriend, of course, AEW interviewer Alicia Tao. Now, all I'm going to say is this. Peeps, Chris, I thought Pepsi Punk was the problem. What happened here? You know what, I'll stop. But look, Peeps, what does this entail? What's the whole cause of this? And why is it happening still?
It sounds like a bunch of nonsense. First and foremost, the one thing that we have been able to determine over the last couple of years is that Britt Baker can be kind of a hothead in the locker room. If anybody watched any of the Roads to the Top documentary that they did and showed some of the things that were happening in the locker room in the back with Britt Baker, sometimes she can kind of stir up the pot a little bit. But what it seems to come down to is there was some kind of an argument between Britt Baker, and I believe she was voicing her displeasure with having 1 hour of the show dedicated to the Ospreay match with MJF. And I think that kind of got back to MJF. There was a falling out between MJF and Britt Baker a couple of years ago. They were at one point good friends. Whatever happened in the back, they kind of fell apart. They fell away from being friendly. And the next thing you know, things have happened over the course of the last couple of years. Apparently, the displeasure got back to MJF, who had the argument with Britt Baker. And then that caused a lot of a kerfuffle, so to speak. And from what we've heard, with all of the things happening, it ended up being a 2-week suspension. I believe there was a $10,000 fine involved in an investigation that went through. Basically, this is not what AEW needs. Literally 2.5 weeks or so away from their biggest pay-per-view going into London. This is just another instance backstage that doesn't need to be brought up.
Of course. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I mean, first of all, if Britt Baker is going to complain about the match being an hour, it's the match that actually drew a rating. It's like after that went over, the rating plummeted in that show itself. So clearly those are the two top guys in your company right now that are going to bring in eyeballs. So does she think she's bringing in eyeballs? I don't know. Let me know her quarter hour number. You know what I mean? It's like, that's so selfish to say that. You're supposed to be a company person here. Hey, what's helping our company right now? How about this feud? This feud could help our company. So I don't get that. And then explain, was Alicia Toot present? Was she yelling at her too?
So what they're saying is that it either had something to do with Alicia within the women's locker room. Alicia goes, hears it, of course, within being in the locker room, or it could have been about MJF. She goes and tells MJF about the issue because, I mean, of course not. I mean, that's your partner. You're expecting not to tell your partner about the issue that's going on between one of the two of us being mentioned in a negative light. Goes ahead and tells MJF, and MJF goes ahead and confronts her before the match with Ospreay, goes ahead and punches a hole in the wall. And then, of course, argument ensues, whatever the case may be. Britt gets suspended through, the whole, what is it, disciplinary committee? Be headed by Brian Danielson, good lord. I mean,
yes.
Brian's having a run, and he's not even paying no more.
She should be suspended. Yes. Yes.
Good grief. Man, have mercy. Wow.
It's always something in the locker room that ends up being more interesting than what's been going on in the ring.
Bingo.
And I don't understand how you actually run a company like this.
Can Tony Khan Can Tony Khan be Booker of the Year for what happens backstage? It's more exciting.
Hey, listen, PWI should make that up now. I kid you not, because I mean, good grief, Tony would win that award every year. I digress.
There you go. There's number two.
Remember, I'm sorry to interrupt. Nate, remember the history of Alicia Atout in MLW with Selena De La Renta, how they would do that work, shoot kind of thing where they would be frenemies and they would go after each other, which actually went to Twitter at one point, if you guys were following.
Y'all still call her Alicia Atout. I just call her Tits McGee from Whore Island. I don't know what you guys are doing. Shout out MJF for that one. I'm not going to lie to you. Go figure, right?
Way too good looking for that dog face gremlin she's dating.
Oh, man.
Yes, guys. This is Saturday afternoon's main event. New and improved.
Yes.
Welcome.
There you go.
With that being said, we move from the next piece of news. Here comes the money from Tony Khan's pockets.
Well, wait, wouldn't that be Mercedes? The money? The money?
The money.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with anything from Wrestle Talk or anything from social media within the IWC this past week, you wouldn't know that in an airport meeting room, Tony Khan had set up a meeting with the black sheep of the McMahon dynasty. This man set up a meeting with Shane McMahon. What did the meeting entail? We do not know. But the fact of the matter is that there is a picture floating around online that seemingly Tony Khan wanted to get out so people would know that he had a whole meeting with Shane O'Mac. Peeps, with that being said, does it happen? Does Shane McMahon go to AEW? And if he does, Chris, does he become a wrestler? Or is he more of a backstage, manager of some sort, another EVP? What are we doing here? Peeps, I'll start with you.
If the money is going to, we're going to have him not as an in-ring guy. We're going to have him on television. Maybe we're going to have him in the quote-unquote front office. It would actually make sense if they had him maybe being the on-face person that runs Ring of Honor. That makes sense.
What?
They need to have that extra attention and eyeballs toward their product. So if Ring of Honor is a part of the company that needs to get more of that extra mainstream attention, that makes sense. But I don't know how long it would last.
Where's Ring of Honor? Where are we seeing Ring of Honor right now?
That's the problem. They're on streaming on the Fight Network. They need to get
Shane McMahon on Ring of Honor. That makes no sense. If anything, he's going to be the GM on Dynamite or
And what makes the most sense is, as we're talking about the whole Elite business, because the Elite storyline started by taking out Tony Khan and then having him on the NFL Network during the draft with the neck brace. And then all of a sudden they have a liaison being Christopher Daniels, being the voice of Tony Khan through the Elite against the Elite. And then it's totally disappeared seemingly. So if they're trying to gain some kind of ground with that storyline, then putting Shane as part of it, or maybe he becomes the on-screen voice for Tony Khan, that could make sense. But we don't know how those AEW fans are going to respond to a McMahon being in the company if that is the case. And where would they go from there?
Wait, he's the cool McMahon. They're gonna embrace him. Of course they are. No one dislikes Shane McMahon. That's insane.
Can you imagine?
Unless your last name is McMahon. That's probably about it.
You got a point. Well,
so wait, did you say there's a picture of the two of them together?
Yeah,
somebody floated a picture of them in the conference room.
Yes. Yo, Chris, there was a picture floating around with Shane O'Mac and Tony Khan. I kid you not. You want me to pull it up for you?
Yes.
I'll pull it up for you.
No, I have a question. Does the picture show how far Tony was able to get his head up Shane McMahon's ass?
Because he seems like he was downing a lot of whatchamacallit. What is he like? Sparkling water. Yeah, that's what he was downing. Yes. So yeah, that's all he was taking in. I don't know if he actually got the time to really, think his head that far up. But I mean, hey, listen, he was doing what he was doing. Yeah. Because he was making shit work. Because I mean, Shane looked like he was intrigued and listening to what he was saying.
But even more so, there's the picture. But even more so, this is part of the problem with AEW. If this was even a thing, I understand why it got leaked for the attention. But if they are supposedly trying to build some sort of ratings or some sort of attention or to improve the product by bringing some in surprises, so to speak, which is what AEW used to do early on in its time. Well, we got a surprise, and here's this, and here's that. By showing that, you've killed a good chunk of anything going forward to try it out and bring in the attention from the fans to this. Outside of it's already known, so it's a good possibility that it's going to happen, as opposed to the shock value of, wow, Shane is actually in AEW per se. It just doesn't make any sense.
Hey, this is another ratings play. Let's be honest. We just talked about that pre-show. The ratings took a huge dip. If you could talk about the numbers there, I mean, and think about who was on the show this past week. They had loaded card, and the numbers still dropped, coming off of a previous week where they had a good number. So that's alarming. Yeah. Now again, they're going to blame the Olympics and whatever else was on that night, but still, like, what's going on? Like, how are they not able to keep people?
Yeah, something that really does have to be decided within the company. But I mean, if they think Shane McMahon is the route to go ahead and go within this situation, so be it. We'll sit back and watch like the casual wrestling fans that we are. But if something goes wrong, of course, S.A.M.E will be the place for us to go ahead and discuss this. Yes. But with that being said, we move from there and we move to the world of WWE. The Hardy Boys and Zilla Fatu were spotted in Cleveland ahead of SummerSlam. Yeah, just flat out just have to say it. Yeah, the Hardys met with WWE, heard that they was sometime with me, whatever the case may be, that was it. Zilla Fatu, he's around, some of the guys, whatever the case may be. He's chilling in Cleveland, of course. He is a Fatu, so I mean, there is no problem within that. But I mean, now, if we're speaking on the calamity of just tonight, we can remove the Hardy Boys. But Zilla Fatu can be included within all of this. Of course, we will get to it later within our predictions. But Zilla Fatu, would it be making sense if he made an appearance tonight? Peeps, I start with you.
Yes, and he'll be a special ring announcer for the main event. I'm just kidding.
You know what? No, he'll do what The Rock said Solo would do at WrestleMania, sing the national anthem. How about that?
Yes, there you go. I think at some point, and we'll get into that in our predictions, I think he will factor some point in this. They're not going to bring him there for this weekend unless there's something that's going to happen by the end of the night. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Chris, how about yourself? How do you feel about this?
I feel like anybody can show up tonight. So yeah, anything's possible. It's pretty simple.
Anything's possible. All right. No problem. With that being said, we move to the last piece of wrestling news that still controls the bloodline. They are airing you, WWE Tag Team Champions.
What the hell happened last night? This was a big talking point in the pre-show meeting. So
yeah, it was.
We thought, like, okay, DIY is Triple H's boys, NXT, the history that they have there. For him to put the tag titles on them, and then 29 days later take it off of them. That was a whoa moment last night for me. Now, granted, anyone can say, oh, well, it's the bloodline. It makes sense. They have to win the titles just for the storyline purpose, which is fair. I'm not saying you're wrong. However, like, I just couldn't believe what DIY went through last night. I was like,
yes.
I expected maybe someone to come in from the bloodline storyline and maybe cost them, whether it's Jimmy, Jay, anyone, right? Just to cost them that match. But no. DIY just got buried, and Gargano laid there in the ring as they celebrated.
In his hometown of Cleveland, no less. That was almost like a McMahon booking, you know?
Right. It's one thing for me because I've known Johnny Gargano to be the type to get killed in a match by a bullet. That's the only thing that would stop Johnny Gargano.
Yes.
Well, in all fairness, Jacob Fatu's a nuke. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yes.
If it were to make sense, thank God Jacob Fatu was the one who pinned him. Yes. That's the only thing that I can say that makes sense.
But phenomenal.
Him still losing in his hometown after 29 days of being champion, that's still kind of a problem. Right?
But phenomenal one. Just think about that, though. It was a flat finish. There was no out. There was no screw job. There was no. They just got buried.
Yeah.
It was a short match. How long was that match? 7 minutes?
Roughly.
Right.
Roughly, because by the time they got through the introductions, they were already at like 9:45, maybe. So
that was as close to WWF Superstars 1985 for your tag titles as you're gonna see.
But what I will say about this, though, and we talked about this 2 weeks ago with our season finale of the previous season, that if the Bloodline is going to look the dominant part, they have to start winning. And by winning, we mean putting belts on people's waists. And this fits the mold of what they're trying to do with the Bloodline. So I don't have a problem with it. The way it happened was kind of stunning, as you brought up, Chris. I mean, no one was expecting a burial like that. But to also have it done in Cleveland, it's like the symmetry lined up, which was like, wow, and no one was expecting that. So yes, I actually like the move. I like the fact that they showed dominance, and the closing photo, the closing picture that you get is the tribal chief with the belts around his shoulder, showing everybody that he's the leader of this group. I thoroughly enjoyed that. The optics of it was great.
Your air quotes with tribal chief. How great was the sign in the crowd that said Timu Bloodline?
Timu Bloodline.
These fans are right on point. Oh man.
Oh, yo, you gotta love what they're doing with the Bloodline now. I can't even begin to fathom. As much as people may say, look, it's generating heat. It's like, they're doing what they gotta do, but it's like you sit there and like the dynamic when Roman returns is just going to be. That is going to be a one. That is what we're waiting for. Hopefully it happens tonight. That's what it all is. Lord, good Lord, not be up. The Bloodline needs titles. Don't they already got titles? We don't want another one. Of course, being that Peeps Nage is here, let me tell you something for those who are new to Saturday afternoon's main event. Peeps is a foreshadower. And when Peeps says something, it sometimes becomes true. Because about a year ago, towards WrestleMania 39, Peeps was one of the select few to say about a month in advance that Roman Reigns was retaining the Universal title. I said, of course, it was BS. Fast forward to WrestleMania, Roman Reigns does actually retain. And since then, Peeps has not missed with any of his predictions when it comes to the Bloodline.
Well, you know why, right? Peeps is a time traveler. That's why he looks as old as he does.
I mean, look, Peeps, you're not beating these allegations no more, man.
I gotta warm up the flux capacitor in about another minute or two. So
I see. Okay. So Back to the Future it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that marks the end of the first half of Saturday afternoon's main event, Wrestling Crash Course, of course. When we come back from our 30-second break, we will get into our questions selected from a few of you for today's show. And after that, we will get into our predictions for tonight's SummerSlam, hailing from Cleveland Brown Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. What a state. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, stay tuned. Do not go anywhere because the second half of Saturday afternoon's main event is coming up next.
Uh-oh. Can't hear you, Rich.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when I talk crap about Tony Khan. Then They mute me. They mute me, for God's sakes. What did I do wrong? But you don't mute Mr. It's because I'm the mouthpiece of the show. This is what happens. You know what, Chris? I will get you to go ahead and start ranting more. I can't do this because then they come to me. Why a black guy in 2024? No, this shouldn't be happening. You know what? I digress. Let me stop. Okay. I'm not doing this.
Woosah. Remember, this is a scat-free zone. So.
Phenomenal one.
Scat-free zone, yeah.
Questions. Can I just jump on something real quick?
Yes, please do so you can get the heat off me. Yeah.
Carmelo Hayes and Andrade, best match of the week. I mean, that was really good.
Definitely so. Yes. Round of applause for them. No, straight up.
Yes. Really hard, and the finish was great. Everything about it. So they hit high impact moves, and people kicked out, but a lot of it made sense. That's what we talk about wrestling. Like when you watch the other channel, people get dropped in their head 35 times and still kick out.
Yes.
But these two guys, it made sense when they kicked out.
Yes. And it wasn't actual like the kick out that we would normally see. It was an arm at the last second. Right. It was the timing of how those kickouts happen. Like if you get pile driven, if you know that's not going to be the finish of the match, somebody needs to be near the ropes or something has to happen to break it up where no one is just going to kick out. It was logical. It made sense. The pacing was really good. And I thoroughly enjoyed that match.
Yeah, 100%.
I can totally agree.
I got one more for you. So clearly, now that we've seen her a couple weeks now on SmackDown, Blair Davenport hates black people, right? It's fair. Let's be honest. I mean, she beats up Naomi. She comes out. She costs Jade and Bianca the tag titles. Blair Davenport is a racist, okay? And I'm just putting it out there. All right.
No!
By the way, did you see how much she struggled with trying to move Jade Cargill around? She actually fell down.
She tripped backwards trying to throw her into the ring post. Like, what was that?
Yo, Chris, I hate you.
Oh man!
Wow, Saturday afternoon's been a fed for you guys.
There you go.
This is what we mean when we say no filter, unedited, uncut, straight to the point, laughs, good times, and all the rest of it is possible. Jeez, if you're not laughing about that, I don't know what's wrong with you. Something's wrong with your dark humor.
I'm sorry, Rich. The last thing. Did Joe Henry's concert pop a rating? Did you guys watch the concert?
I actually ended up watching it. Was it as entertaining? I mean, it was all right. It was all right. You know?
It was like the rock concert light, kind of. That's kind of how it came off.
Czech soda. How about that? Yeah, Czech soda. Yeah, the Czech soda version. Yeah, you can say that. You know,
I'm just curious if it brought in the people, like the eyeballs. If people care about the Joe Henry concert.
I haven't looked at the ratings. I haven't seen what the Nielsen, what Nielsen goes ahead and says about what it was quarter hour. When I get those, I'll go ahead and see what's up. I'll probably bring it up later tonight when I'm going ahead and throwing, the whole watch party for SummerSlam.
As long as everybody still believes in Joe Henry, that's most important.
Yes. There you go.
I mean, I still believe, of course. Who doesn't? Screw Booker T and whatever he thinks. Yeah, screw Booker T and whatever he thinks. But I mean, I believe in Joe Henry.
That guitar shot that he took, that was a honky tonk man, Jeff Jarrett kind of guitar shot.
You're not even. Why say Jeff Jarrett like that? Yo, peeps, what's wrong with you? It's J-E-double-F, J-A-double-R-E-double-T. Ha ha. There you go.
There you go.
You guys got aha. There you go, peeps. Great stuff.
Nate, did you pay that AOL dial-up bill over there? Come on.
Oh, man. But look, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're going to go ahead and get into our questions for today's show. Of course, if you want to be a part of sending in a question and having it featured on the next episode of the show, all you got to do is one thing and one thing only. DM us on Instagram at SaturdayAfternoons_main event. Send in a question, and in the words of WWE Hall of Famer, the wrestling god JBL, I guarantee it will be on the next episode of the show. So with that being said, first one comes from Master Sean 007. He says, greetings, gentlemen. With TNA and the WWE continuing to do great business, would it be cool to see AJ Styles have another run competing for the X Division Championship? And which company? See, this is what I'm talking about. They hate me. They hate me. Not removing stuff within my room. You see what I mean, peeps?
You know what? You should have clapped your hands and say Joe Hendry's name. Maybe that wouldn't happen.
Wait, is Blair Davenport behind you?
Oh, good grief.
Chris, I can't with you today, man. Look, I'll just say this part of the question, and then I'll go ahead and get to fixing myself. You guys can go ahead and handle this question. Peeps, you can start with it. But he says, would you prefer to see the Motor City Machine Guns compete in, and why? So where would you rather see them compete? Okay, so cool. I'll be back, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. All right. As far as AJ Styles, would it be nice to see him have a kind of like a last run in TNA, a short televised run at maybe the X Division title, or maybe go after the World Championship, even if he doesn't win it? That would be good. You could cross-brand it with WWE, which is what they've been doing, which definitely makes a lot of sense. As far as the Motor City Machine Guns, I would love to see them in tag team action in the WWE, on Raw or on SmackDown, or maybe in NXT against the Rascals, or in any myriad of feuds of matches that we have not seen them in, because they are still, even in their 40s, still really good tag team, and they still have something to offer. So I would love to see that.
I feel like this question was asked already, because I remember us talking about this. Motor City Machine Guns against DIY would be the best match.
Yes.
And
it's funny because it's weird, because we know that they said that they signed with AEW, then that went off the record, and then now we heard before, like, I guess like the final episode, they were like, oh, they signed with WWE, and now it's all over the place. So now we don't know where they've actually gone to. Yes. But it's not until we see them show up somewhere that we know that they're there. So
exactly,
still in the same sense, that kind of builds some type of intrigue. We'll see what happens within the next couple of weeks, maybe months or so. But hopefully, we'll see the Motor City Machine Guns go ahead and show up wherever they show up and wreak havoc like they usually, did in TNA.
I don't know where AJ Styles stands in terms of his retirement, because I know he had talked about that, winding down his career. I guess it would kind of make sense if he did a retirement tour in TNA. That'd be amazing, kind of like John Cena doing in WWE. If he somehow won at least one title before retiring without sacrificing too much of their talent, because you don't want him to go in there and beat everybody. So there's
especially
a way to do that.
Like between now and Slammiversary, where they do their Hall of Fame, that would work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because Bound for Glory is coming up, and we know that Mustafa Ali is supposed to be ending his tenure with TNA sooner or later within a year. So if it's winding down, gives it the X Division title. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at seeing AJ Styles go ahead and conquer that at Bound for Glory. Slammiversary, of course, is over, but you still have BFG. So we'll see what happens. We can still give this time, but I would honestly love to see AJ Styles go ahead and have one last run in TNA. Why not? Of course, he has said that he's not going to bring back the Get Ready to Fly theme song, which is, still kind of pisses me off. But, to say the least, AJ Styles is AJ Styles. You love to go ahead and see him, man. Of course. So back in TNA for at least one more run? Oh, yeah. Give it to me. Just feed it to me. In the words of Chris Jericho, drink it in, man.
Oh. I thought you were going to say it was the learning tree. I was like, uh-oh.
No. What?
Yo, every segment on AEW.
It hurts. My eyes are bleeding. My eyes are bleeding. My ears are popped. I mean,
it's death. It's death on arrival. It's really that bad every time. And the ratings prove it, by the way. We don't have the quarter-hour breakdown, but I guess
they always drop when Chris Jericho comes on your TV screen. That's a fact.
No one wants to see it. And at all. At this point, it's like, how does Tony Khan? So there's just no proof. There's proof that he doesn't have any power at all because he keeps putting it on. Does he want to see that? I hope not.
It's literally like what Road Warrior Hawk used to say about the Legion of Doom when they first came out. They say, "We are walking death." That's literally what the Learning Tree gimmick segments have become ratings-wise. Walking death. Yeah.
Sad and unfortunate. Well, look. From there, we move to the next question, and it comes from Long Island Isaiah. He says, I've been getting Sean, Brett, and Taker vibes from this Drew, CM Punk, and Seth story. Yo! Honestly, the fans are up here. Pips, the fans are up here, because didn't we bring this up? Didn't we?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
see, I love our listeners.
Yes.
He says, do they do the exact same finish at SummerSlam tonight? Yes. I have a feeling that they do. But what it is that CM Punk ends up winning the match. We got to remember.
Well,
Peace.
to refresh, Nate, if you would be so kind to refresh the audience's memory of the finish.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, because Nick's is the only person who possibly knows every finish dating back from 1905 to now, you know? So,
Right.
Britt versus Undertaker. They get into their match. Shawn Michaels is the special referee. Shawn Michaels was trying to literally waffle the Undertaker. And he ended up, well, actually, he wanted to waffle Britt. He ends up hitting the Undertaker. Britt just stares Shawn down and goes for the pin. And Shawn had no choice but to count 1, 2, 3, which makes sense because all three of them in that match, they couldn't stand each other, kayfabe wise. So you do something similar to this, yeah. I think that the potential is there to tap into that and do it even better.
yes, definitely. Because you have Seth, you have a Shawn and Seth. Drew is definitely like, vivid kind of like, psychopathic Undertaker in a sense.
Yes.
And you just have Punk who's there, who hates them both like-mindedly. But it's like, he'll be the odd one out in a sense that I feel, But it's just like, we know that this is going to lead to a Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood. Who do we see it happening against? Does Punk go up against Seth? Or does Seth go up against Drew? Or does Drew go up against Punk? Because we know that Punk said on First Take earlier this week that after tonight, his whole story with Drew is over. So what does this entail? Peeps, what do you feel is going to happen within the next couple of months?
I think this graduates into Seth versus Punk. I think that part of it works. But if you really want to do something really cool with that match, I actually think Drew should go over just to kind of extend this whole deal. And that would piss everybody off within the match. And you could still end up going, you know what? I knew I couldn't trust this guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they have the back and forth between the three. And then you can kind of branch off from there. Drew has his win, so to speak. He can move on from Punk and let those two argue it out against each other. You cost me this match, blah, 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 blah. Do it that way. So that could be something that would make sense. Just to kind of tick everybody off and give you an extra part of the story that maybe people weren't thinking about.
Definitely so. Well, then, we'll just have to wait and see tonight. Have about, 6 to 7 hours to go?
Yeah.
And hopefully this is, probably before the main event? Has to be, right?
Well, aren't they doing a 3-hour pregame show to counter Collision, which is now
yes.
Insane.
I think it's supposed to start at 5, and then the premium live event starts at 7.
But I heard 3. That was
I heard 4 because they're going to be. Remember, they're live at 7, so they're doing 3 hours. They're going to start at 4. Collision is what time tonight?
5.
Yeah, Collision starts at 5 this afternoon.
So they're going to counter that completely, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
For whatever reason, who knows? I mean, the Collision, why? And is Collision taped this week? Was it taped?
I'm not sure. I would think it would be if it's coming on.
They kind of have they have a temporary residency in that one gaming event arena in Arlington.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if it's ended already or if they're still going over there.
I think they're there until the week before All In. I think.
Okay, so it's live then. Okay, so it's most likely live then. All right. Oh well. Jeez. Well then, from there we move to the last question, and it comes from Tombstone City. Adam, he says, AEW has been putting on good builds towards All In as of late. Why do they always get overshadowed by backstage BS?
Because it's the only thing that matters. It's look. It's hard to answer this and not sound like we hate AEW because we don't.
Exactly. That's why I don't even feel like answering because you see what Tony Khan's doing in my studio. Can't do it no more. But if I had to answer this in a way that is understandable, it's that nobody can look at the wrestling anymore and say, look, AEW is great. It's because they have been filled with so much scat around this time since last year that it's like you're seething and you're waiting to see what's going to happen. What happened in 2022? Punk comes in, All Out happens, then what? Brawl Out, instantly they leave, cool, whatever. Next year, we don't even wait till Brawl Out. It is immediately after All In, Punk gets fired because he gets in a fight with Jack Perry. Literally July through August is literally the time for AEW to go ahead and somehow put out something that is going to be backstage related, filled with BS, and out of proportion in what you're trying to do when it comes to putting on a build for probably your biggest show of the year.
Yes.
And with All In, it's already been known that fans are trying to go ahead and downplay All In this year because it is way under the capacity of what it was last year with the attendance. Right now, we're looking at what, 49,000 people right now?
I think so.
Of course, we know there's a spike about a week prior to the pay-per-view. So that's why I'm not really stressing it, but still, it's like, that's nowhere near 81,000 paid attendance.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say here. So it's like, people are already trying to find a way to hate on that, knowing that this card is still going to be a great card. But when you add in the backstage politics, you're going to have people use that to overshadow anything else the company does. Because look, as Mr. Goldwyn stated earlier, Blood and Guts, that was a great show. This past week's show was a good show. Why did not get ratings? Why? Because people are looking for the negative stuff. That's what they're looking for. AEW is so related to that type of. You know what?
But it's also this though. Wait, it's also this. They have good matches without question. However, there's a lot of matches, but there's a lot of matches on the same show that don't matter at all. They're just a match with no storyline, with nothing to care about. It's what's called a cold match. And when you repeatedly receive cold matches with no incentive to care, you stop caring. And that's what has happened.
Well, I mean, you also have the sense of matches that, will happen, but then when it comes to, as you said, like, let's say somebody goes ahead and takes a pile driver from the second rope, somehow they kick out after a good 30-minute match.
Yeah, listen, and as good as that MJF Ospreay match was, a lot of ridiculous things.
That finish sucked. That finish sucked. I love the match, but that finish sucked.
Well, I know
you're telling me. Look at it this way. Ospreay took a lot of deadly moves. A lot. That should have ended the match a long time back.
Yeah.
But you're telling me you lose to the Dynamite Diamond right to the head?
Yes.
Please. Screw it. Yeah. Good. Come on. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Within some of the psychology of the wrestling that they put on, the moves are great. Spot on. Top tier. Amazing stuff. In the words of Vince McMahon, they're like pumping fins. It's such good shit. But when you look at the way sometimes the finishes are, are oriented within the match, or the sense of doing certain moves, and the payoff is that the person kicks out when you know that move is known to be deadly. What's up here? Like, what's up here? Like, they're just really screwing up the rest of the moves that are probably being able to use for other people's own arsenals. Like,
yes.
Come on, Oh, Lord. Phenom. Storytelling's where AEW digresses at.
Yeah.
I mean, the storytelling now within some of the builds, it's not bad. Look, Tony Storm, Mariah May, Chef's Kiss. Ospreay, MJF, Chef's Kiss. Danielson Swerve, Chef's Kiss. I'm genuinely liking it. But still, it has to work within the matches where I'm not sitting there like, how the hell did he not die from... There's a move Peeps creates on the fly. And after DDT moonsault off the top rope. That's what it is. You go ahead and do that. Somebody's going to kick on that one and then start holding up. I don't want that. Like, come on. Like, make it make sense for me. Make it really genuinely make sense.
And the other thing that really irks me, and I've talked with Mr. 411 about this numerous times, and I've talked to my partner over this numerous times, the state of officiating, of what is a disqualification, what's a counter, when do people... That is one of my biggest pet peeves with AEW, because it seems to me like a lot of times we'll see the referee, I was like, okay, there's supposed to be a count going on. 1, 2, okay, fine, no problem. The psychology is wrestler rolls back in the ring, rolls back out to break the count, they start the count over again. But the referee is supposed to start to get angry. Okay, come on, you're getting on my nerves, get back in the ring. But then you'll see, they'll go to a commercial break. We're going to the picture-in-picture. They're still outside the ring. They're out in the crowd. They're out in the concession stand. But this wasn't deemed a no disqualification, no count-out match. So what is it? Is this are you enforcing the disqualification? Are you enforcing countouts? What is the plan here? And they never communicate that the right way within a match, and then it drives me nuts trying to find out who that is. Or even in tag matches. Well, who's supposed to be tagged in? Who's the legal guy? Who's in the ring? They never established that the way it's supposed to.
And this is a day one issue with this company. This has always been a big gripe of people that say, well, do they follow the rules? There are no rules in AEW. And yeah, I like a fired up Nate. Somebody here say some Frogger knuckle bull.
Yes.
Good grief. Well, look at it. Guys, that marks the end of the questions. You know we love these things. You want to say more, you want to be a part of the show. As I said, one thing only. DM us on Instagram at Saturday Afternoons _main event. Send in the question, will be featured on the next episode of the show. We have 70 people watching on Twitter. Yo, guys, hello.
Hi, guys.
It's you. It's great to meet you. Oh, Lord, not the Tony impression. Hi, guys.
I think we just switched them all off.
No, please don't. You gotta do a Macho Man impression, you know? Like, yeah, you know,
yes.
You guys are the cream of the crop.
You know we didn't talk about? How about Jesse the Body Ventura on Raw? Or WWE.
Yo,
for the first time.
Yes.
Man.
Yes.
Good for you. That actually shocked me because I was like, wait, they got the body. I was waiting for a segment where he just went out there and started talking politics. I just wanted that so bad. I was like, please, Jesse, just get on the mic and just be like, body slam some Democrats. Yeah, you know.
No, but wouldn't it be great to just let him call one match? They should have just let him get on the mic once.
Cole and the Body would be a very interesting dynamic. That would be really interesting.
Forget it. I lose it.
Did you hear?
Honestly, be it.
Did you hear what CM Punk said? CM Punk had, I guess, I don't know where he was interviewed or how he said this, but he was shocked when Jesse came up to him and said, "If you could come back, anybody could come back." So apparently, Punk was surprised that Jesse knew of his situation. Like he was. So Jesse.
Oh, Jesse's still that in tune, man.
Yeah,
Jesse is worldly. Yes.
Oh man, he said, "Shut up, McMahon."
Yes.
No,
shut up, McMahon.
He's calling him match, and he's about to say, that man is a very good, and it out of nowhere. Shut up, McMahon.
Shut up, McMahon.
Just please.
I'm a broadcast journalist, McMahon.
You guys ever heard Karrion Kross do Ventura? Karrion Kross is like the best Ventura.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He's so at one with it.
He has the mannerisms and everything down pat. Oh yeah.
I mean, of course. I mean, you always have to have one person that's going to go ahead.
Yes.
When it comes, like Jay Lethal, for God's sakes, you know, you good grief. Let me not. He's just going to go ahead and lose himself and start wooing around. But
yeah, don't break his head, man.
Please don't. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into our predictions for tonight's SummerSlam. Once more, WWE SummerSlam.
Predictions for this show?
What a mark.
What is that? Yo! I was real talking about to say what a show. Yo, you took the words right out of my mouth, man. Oh, Lord. But you're right. Is that the Collector's Cup?
Yes. That was...
based on it?
This is from I guess 2015, 2016, they did it. 7-Eleven. I bought the cup, and I guess I never got rid of it. So I figured I might as well hold on to it.
Wow, man. Wow, the man is about 205 and he's a hoarder on top of that too for wrestling merchandise. Ladies and gentlemen, get over Peep Snakes. I'll go ahead and put the number down in the bottom just for you guys to go ahead and go into the Peep Snakes fund. But jokes aside, let's go ahead and really get into this show. This is a stat card, 7 matches, no pre-show matches, thank God once more. But look, this is really a great card. First and foremost, let's go ahead and start with this match. Singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship, Damian Priest versus Gunther. I got Gunther. As crazy as it sounds. Damian Priest has really made himself so much of a face that I like it. But I think Gunther wins. And not off of some really pesky, real, buried win. This never cost Damian Priest.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. I don't see any scenario in this that Damian Priest comes out with the championship.
Of course not.
If what they've been booking and how that they've been booking this is any indication as to what the result is going to be, I think it's going to be a really good match, but I think Walter is the guy that comes in and wins this.
Okay.
Well, here's why, though. I think ultimately they have to play off of where Priest, somehow anyone from Judgment Day comes down and they mistakenly cost him the title. It's not going to be a clean finish. I would be surprised by that.
Of course not.
I don't think Priest is going to just lose. So something fishy will happen at the end to cost him, which will then cause a further division, as we've seen in Judgment Day storyline. And that will lead to the full Damian Priest face turn, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, I guess we all got Gunther winning this. So we pencil that in. Good stuff, peeps. Next match, Bayley versus Nia Jax, singles match for the WWE Women's Championship. As much as this title run has been stale, it's not that I hate Bayley. I love Bayley, but you know what? Nia Jax has been putting in some good work, I have to say.
What? Good work? She hasn't hurt anybody. Is that the best you can say?
Insane. It's insane to say. Look,
she hasn't hurt anybody. Doesn't mean the work.
I mean, if she's not hurting anyone, it's great. That's what we're so worried about, right? That's what made her unwatchable, right? I mean, look, she ain't hurting no one. Look, as long as she ain't hurting no one, I can't hate on it, you know? Because they don't value protection more than anything else. So, hey.
I have Nia winning, and the reason why is they have actually done a really good job of promoting her in a way that makes her look better than she is. Yeah. She obviously, we know all of the things that have happened. As a matter of fact, they've actually had Bayley in her promos talk about how she was reckless and she did all these things. Right. It seems like she's overcome that. And with all of those things out of the way, she actually looks like a pretty solid wrestler. But even more so, they built up her reputation as being this destroyer of people in the ring. And it fits within what they've done with the booking. So I actually like how that they booked Nia Jax. And I think because of that Nia is going to win. But we also have to keep in mind, I think we have to look at what they plan on doing with that Money in the Bank briefcase, because Tiffany Stratton is still hovering around there.
Did you see that Nia presented her with a new briefcase last night on SmackDown?
Yes, and that was hilarious.
And you also mentioned about cashing in. So do we see Tiffany time? Because if Nia wins, we'll see.
Yes. So who do you think Chris is going to win this match?
I think Nia's going to win because The Rock is on the board.
It's all about the nepotism, huh?
Seems like it, right? Good grief. Well, look. Next match. We versus Liv Morgan, singles match for the Women's World Championship. Bloody Rip I'm playing. Liv Morgan's getting the win here. It's insane to say. Look, I don't buy into the whole politic thing where he's like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm gonna go ahead and side by, like, you know, I'm gonna side by mommy. Nah, forget that. Dom's conniving. You're really thinking Dom's supposed to be playing a face right now? No, come on. He's turning on Rhea. He's definitely turning on Rhea. So Liv Morgan's retaining. I definitely see that.
I actually have the same same thought process. It's going to happen. It's just too lovey, hunky dory. Everything is fine.
Exactly.
That's a smokescreen. I think something is going to happen at some point because if you remember, before they became an item on camera, Rhea used to torture Dominic Mysterio on camera. So this could also be going back into the storylines of how they started this on camera. It's like, you see, this is what happened, and go back in there and turn on Rhea to make sure she loses and see what happens from there.
Yeah, I'm on board. I think most people feel that the heel turn, or whatever turn you want to call it, because Judgment Day is like schizophrenic. Some people are faces, some people are heels. Nothing makes sense, but I see Liv Morgan retaining because of Dominic. Dominic will definitely and Dirty Dom. By the way, Phenom is watching. That's his boy, Dirty Dom.
Yeah,
Dirty Dom.
The greatest
North American champion in the history of wrestling, according to the Triple C.
And I think, by the way, we talked about this with Damian Priest potentially getting the big face turn off of him losing. Rhea will become even a bigger face off of her losing. So
and they both will be in the chasing to go ahead and get back their world titles. So I mean, it seems like that will work out for them. I honestly, can't say that, but with Dom, oh Lord, we got started. What a champion Dom is! He's even such a hero to North America, and he will show you why tonight. Oh man, this is what you guys do, yo. This is what y'all done did. See, y'all fighting his ego. Good Lord. Next match, singles match for the WWE United States Championship. Logan Paul versus LA Knight. Guys, this is the crowning moment for LA Knight.
Without question.
Finally, he is going to get his first major singles title in the WWE main roster. And now we can finally say that Logan Paul will be going back to just doing what he does best in selling Prime. So we all are siding with LA Knight going ahead and winning this?
Yes.
By the way, how good was Logan Paul last night in Cleveland? Once he realized that the fans turned on him in Cleveland, because you never know with home crowd, right? With a home crowd, despite him being a heel, they could have cheered him, but they didn't. And he went after the people of Cleveland, and it was so well done. And yes, I mean, listen, LA Knight, with this build, he can't lose again. That's what it comes down to. He cannot lose again because you're going to lose the people. So him winning this title is huge, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's been a 2-year build to get him to the spot that he's in now. And I think that this has to be it right now, biggest stage for him, and do it in Cleveland. It definitely would work.
Definitely so. From there, second-day Braun Breaker singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. I said this at Money in the Bank. I said that Braun Breaker was going to go ahead and lose. Dummy finish, of course, whatever the case may be. Now fast forward to SummerSlam. I say he wins.
I think that's the easy choice here again, and one of these we're going to be wrong about, if not more than one. We've been wrong in the past because Triple H has this thing with just showing people, hey, it's not that easy to predict. I just don't know I don't know who's lurking that could cost Braun Breaker this match if they wanted to do that.
What, Ricochet?
What's that?
What, Ricochet? Imagine?
Well, no. I mean, isn't he gone? Isn't Ricochet gone?
I mean, we haven't heard anything at all.
So that's the only way is if you do a screw finish, because you can't pin Breaker again. You can't. There's got to be some other finish where he loses. But
because, I mean, if anything, wouldn't we already see Ken Ricochet on AEW's roster? Because it's not like he was, let go. His contract was done. So he could have signed with a new company immediately after the day. So it didn't happen. That's what I'm trying to say. So what if he did sign a lucrative deal with them that is just kept
under the table, so no one knows. And then immediately out of nowhere, since Braun tried to go ahead and put him out of action, he comes back and he screws Braun over by having him lose this match. It can happen. Because, I mean, as I said, we haven't heard anything about Ricochet and AEW. Nothing at all. So what if? That's the only what if, you know?
And it would be a surprise to the IWC also because most people think he's going there. So no one would expect that. So it'd be a reaction from the crowd also.
But that's the only way I can see Braun losing this match.
Right.
Yeah. I think the build with Braun, I think, has been in the last two matches that he's had, last two title matches that he's had. It's I'm dominant, but I'm cocky. Okay, well, the second match is I'm dominant and cocky, but I'm learning my mistakes, but I still lost. This is the one where it's like, you know what? I've learned everything that I need to learn. I'm not going to be fooled by it again. I have to have a controlled chaos, go in the ring, and do what I have to do. And I think he's going to on camera put it together and have that win.
Now, isn't there another person he also took out and put on the shelf? Now, I don't think it would be as big as Ricochet coming back, but he did take out Ludwig Kaiser also, right?
Yeah.
That is true, yes.
But that was more like NXT, right? And didn't Ludwig Kaiser,
no, that was definitely on Raw.
Yeah, that was definitely on Raw. I think Von Wagner for a second, my bad.
Yes.
Well, that's another guy, Dragunov. He just took Dragunov out too. So Braun Breaker in theory has a bunch of enemies who could cost him the title.
That is true. But at the same time, that would also set up, if he wins the belt, it's setting up opponents for him when he eventually does win.
True. But I'm still thinking Dragunov will be the top person to face Gunther for the world title when it comes down to it at Bash in Berlin. Can you just imagine? Gunther's first title defense?
Oh, boy. Woo!
Yeah, no. Yeah, he's really celebrating. He's like, don't when he watches the Osprey match. Look at him. Good grief. It's okay, Peeps. I understand.
Yes.
But
I have to reiterate this point as we do every week here. With the amount of talent Triple H has, it's got to be the hardest thing to book these matches, but at the same time, still trying to protect guys because you don't want to beat guys too much because Dragunov has lost quite a bit already. So
Yes.
you have to worry about that. Like, you don't want to lose the steam from the crowd reaction.
you got a point there.
And there's always that believability of, can this guy actually get into the ring and win a match? And if you're constantly having a guy job out at some point, why would the fans believe that the next match is going to be any different? So that's the problem that has to be worked in. That's kind of why I think Braun is going to win.
And that's what they've had to do with Bronson Reed recently. Bronson Reed was losing quite a bit, and then all of a sudden they had him beating Sheamus just to get his credibility back because he was on that line of, God, how many times can he lose?
Yes.
Of course. Well, then, from there, we move to this match. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins, special guest referee. Ladies and gentlemen, we spoke about this before, earlier within the show, and I'm going to be the first to say it again. CM Punk is going to win because Seth cost Drew McIntyre the match. First real televised singles match back in the company after being gone for more than 10 years. CM Punk is going to win this match. There you go. Chris, what do you think?
I agree based on what you guys said off of the question we received earlier that that's the best way to do it because everything that Drew has endured during this feud, how much he's made to look like an idiot, all the different things in which he's taken a loss, if you will, storyline-wise, he has to win unless someone costs him the match. He can't lose clean in this match. And eventually, at some point, just to uphold his credibility within the fans' eyes, he does have to beat Punk some way, somewhere.
Yes.
But what if, just what if, that match that we're presumably talking about isn't a singles match inside Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood? What if it's all three of them? They all have seething hate for each other.
Yes.
Besides us going ahead and speaking on, Bad Blood 1997 with Taker and Shawn, however much we talk about that, of course, Brett wasn't implicated within that match. But can you just imagine? Because it's not like one of those three men have the world title. They're fighting to get back the world title. So what if? Just what if? All three of them, Hell in a Cell match. The winner is the number one contender for the world heavyweight title.
Well, I think they're gonna have to talk. They're gonna have to talk Punk into doing a Hell in a Cell because I think he's been on record as saying he doesn't want to ever do a Hell in a Cell match. So that's the starters. And there's nothing wrong. First of all, if you're gonna do a three-way, and we talk about three-ways, especially in WWE lately, overdone, like way too many three-ways. But this is the exception because you have three guys that hate each other. It's not just as I said earlier, a cold match where you put three people in a three-way.
Yeah,
this would make the most sense of the three-way, but it can't be Hell in a Cell right away. Maybe you could do a second three-way and finally get Punk to agree to it. I don't know. But this is incredible storytelling, and we're getting to see this. And it's really that good.
And, just for the sake of the storytelling, that's the reason why I penciled in Drew to win this match.
What?
Just to throw, I'm throwing the curveball. And the reason why I say that is,
here we go.
For all of the things that have been brought in, Drew has really, in a lot of these matches, except the quote unquote the big ones, he hasn't been able to win. And he's attributed it to CM Punk screwing him over. So what happens if it's Seth intending to screw Drew over and he messes up and he hits Punk in the head with a chair or does something along those lines, and he has no choice but to make the count after maybe a Claymore or something along those lines. And he can still walk out of the ring and still have that bracelet that has AJ and Larry on it and still kind of dangle it around. That would throw another wrinkle in the storytelling that no one is really thinking about. So I'm going to actually pencil in Drew winning that match just because of all of the drama involved.
As we said earlier, we're going to get something we don't expect tonight. So
exactly.
Now, that's where this match comes in. And this is the match that I potentially think would be the main event of the show. Of course, Phenom has asked this question just now. He's like, who do you guys feel should close the show? You guys feel that the main event is because of the potential outside interference named Roman?
Without question.
Yes. This is definitely the match that is going to end the show. Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the Undisputed WWE Championship. And the fact that Solo threw that curveball last night to say that this match is going to be Bloodline rules, the shenanigans will begin. We will have shenanigans in this match, which makes it so much better. But here's the problem. Now that we know that there is a good potential chance that we're getting Roman tonight, what is the obvious other third, curveball? What would it be? The Rock? Tonga? In the words of Hikuleo? What are we doing here? Zilla Fatu? Do we get Jimmy back? Is Jay now a part of this? Since Sammy probably loses the IC title, does Sammy go ahead and join back to kind of help? What happens? We don't know. But we can only predict. So, Peeps, I'll start with you. What do you think is going to happen? Because we know the last 5 minutes of these Bloodline Rules matches are always A1. So what do you think is going to happen?
It's always a lot of craziness. At some point, Solo is going to be able to have Cody say he's almost ready to pin him. He's about to do something. You've got your Bloodline family members at some point there. Somewhere in the match, you're going to hear Roman's music. Roman is going to come down. You're going to hear the fans lose their minds because I think you've been hearing them lose their minds chanting for Roman since WrestleMania, actually. Yeah. He's going to come in, House of Fire. He's going to try to take out somebody. It's going to be Tama Tonga is going to get taken out. It's going to be Tonga Loa is going to get taken out. At some point, and this is what I think is going to happen, Solo is going to be lined up. Roman is going to do something. Roman is going to either try to spear Solo. Solo's going to get out of the way, and he's going to bend Cody in half. And he's going to be shot. The rest of the Bloodline come in. They beat Roman up, throw him out of the ring at some point. Solo gets in there and gets the pin. The reason why I say that, and I've been saying this before, is that the reason why the bloodline story works is because they all had belts. They were all champions. And the reason it's working now, as we just saw before, Friday night, tag team belts are now with the bloodline. Solo has to be a champion if he's going to lead this group. It doesn't make any sense for him to just say, well, I'm the tribal chief and the only one without any championships is him. So I think that has to be the case. And now the question is Roman upset that he was trying to go after him and split Cody? Or was he intending to really go after Solo because he feels disrespected after all of the things that have been said? That's where I'm leaning.
Wow, that's some good stuff right there. Phenomenal. Whatever you're paying Nate, double the money, because that was really well said. I don't even think I could touch that. There's no point in me speaking. Yeah, I would love to see that. That would work. The only concern I have is this. The way WrestleMania was, if you want to call it overbooked, having everyone and their brother appear.
Yeah.
That could happen again tonight. Like all the people you just mentioned, every Uso, every whoever could show up, and it becomes a repeat of that.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep doing that and get away with it.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, doesn't it become like the end of a Mid-South television tape?
Everybody's fighting everybody while the credits are rolling.
Oh man.
But the reason why this actually continues to work is because now we have the other back end of this as to what they do with Roman. And what I think they should be doing with Roman is Roman comes out, maybe it's next week on SmackDown, and I think the thought process would be for him to try to start the reconciliation of Jimmy and Jay, because neither of them, based on how he treated them when the whole bloodline thing started, for him to reform his own faction of bloodline to form against them, he needs to have his cousins on his side somehow. Do the reconciliation, talk about what happened to Paul Heyman meant to him based on the fact that you took up my wise man, and that's not good. And then he can go ahead and have like a come to Jesus moment, so to speak. And then that starts along the lines of where they go next with the story.
Exactly. I mean, I've heard many times, and I was even speaking to the PR earlier within the week about this whole scenario. And it was just like, he said one thing and it makes sense. And it's where he says, we don't have to have year-long title reigns, which is why I think the scenario works well with Cody Rhodes, where he can lose the title and he can gain it back within the next couple months. If it's just like 1 or 2 months of Solo being champion. Just so he can say, look, I'm the tribal chief. I brought the title back to the bloodline. Something that you could even go ahead and do at WrestleMania. Just to at least build a feud, it would make sense.
And if we could piggyback off of what we just said earlier with a triple threat actually making sense. Cody, Solo, Roman, a triple threat down the road for the title.
And then you have the sword of Damocles hanging over everything. Is at some point The Rock is going to be involved whenever.
Well, he can be involved tonight. He's weird. I mean, he just finished shooting that movie. He's available to be there.
He's available. Exactly. We don't know how well that elbow's healed up, but I mean, if anything, he's available. If he just have to show face, he can show face. So there's a lot happening now. But look, wrestling is on fire. Wrestling is on fire, and we're here to enjoy it. But look, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of all of that, enjoy it tonight, because once more, SummerSlam begins at 7 on Peacock.
Yes.
Streaming live for all of you to go ahead and sit there and watch. I will be hosting a watch along on YouTube for you guys to go ahead and tag along. You guys already know, if you're following us on Twitch, follow us on Twitch to go ahead and witness it there, or you can follow us on YouTube to go ahead and witness it there as well. It won't be on Twitter, but all I can say is follow us on Twitter so you can at least go ahead and get the links for tonight's watch along. But look, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is now 1:16 Eastern Standard Time. That marks the end of Saturday afternoon's main event. We have just hit the 100 viewer marker for today's show. We appreciate you guys. First episode of the season. I mean, I love it. You guys, great stuff. Great stuff. What a way to eclipse that record amazing, just great. We look to see 101 and plus next week for our review of SummerSlam and anything else that happens in the world of professional wrestling. But ladies and gentlemen, we enjoyed having you guys for today's show. Just know once more, if you didn't catch everything, just know that it will be on YouTube, on replay, or if you want to catch it throughout the week, you can listen to the audio version on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But look, ladies and gentlemen, it is with that being said.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to say the big thing that we learned today and what everybody should watch their back. If you are black, watch your back because Blair Davenport is behind you. Nate, watch out, she's right there.
No, Chris, bro. What are you doing with you, man? I mean, yo.
We're about to get suspended like Britt Baker. Oh boy.
We don't even have to get fined. Just suspended, bro. Yo. Like, give us a set.
Oh, man.
Like, come on. Come on, man. Oh, jeez. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you for tuning in. And it's like this. And here on Saturday afternoon's main event, that I a phenomenal one.
And the Peeps Nature.
Mr. 411.
Yes. Where we came.
Why are you laughing like that? Where we saw.
And in the words of the great Paul Heyman,
we conquered.
We conquered. There you go. Oh boy. It's gonna be a long season.
Yes, like the episodes to go.
Yes.
But look, I'm the phenomenal one. Right next to me is Mr. 411. And right at the bottom is the Peep Snitch. And this was Saturday afternoon's main event. Peace, love, farewell.